All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Best Damn Podcast. I am your host, John Keene. As always, I would like to thank you guys for joining me. Please make sure to hit the like, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you guys are in the chat, I will be checking out the chat tonight. Make sure to share the link, guys. Help me to get it out there with the way new people can find me. And if you would like to donate or support the channel, you can do so by the links in the description box down below. PayPal, Cash App, Facebook Messenger, or you can join us and get exclusive content, our uncensored content over on Patreon. All of the links are in the description box down below. Follow us Instagram, Facebook, Best Damn Podcast, Twitter, The Real Best Damn. I tried to do this video a few moments ago, but we were having technical difficulties. So if you guys are in the chat, let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. I've got some new equipment and stuff, so I'm kind of like trying to work out all the kinks with that. But it does look like everything is working fine here. So tonight we've got a really, really interesting one. I'm actually very, very excited. Just a couple of days ago, we had Donald Trump be inaugurated once again for his second term as president of the United States. And, Trump is such a polarizing figure, especially within popular culture. It's like people either love this guy or they absolutely hate him, and, there are a rare few, and I feel like it's now becoming more and more people that are starting to see that the left and the right, the left wing and the right wing, they belong to the same bird, right? They belong to the same bird. So tonight we're going to take a look at the recent executive orders, because right during his inauguration, moments after the ceremony and his speech, he just launches a flurry of executive orders, and a lot of which I won't lie, they were pretty fucking impressive, right? They were pretty fucking impressive. Those like against censorship, naming the cartel a terrorist organization, just all types of wild shit, and I think it's pretty impressive because not a lot of presidents, especially, once they take office, the promises that they've actually made, do they actually keep? And Trump is no different. I can remember during 2016 when he was first elected, about a month or so after he got into office, it was like he talked about Syria and Obama and, the things that he did with the wars and all of that. And then, he goes ahead and, accuses them of chemical attacks and the same exact shit, right? Attack in Syria. And I thought, here we go. We've been duped once again. So we're going to ask the question tonight, were these executive orders, is this an attack on the left-wing liberal media and the deep state? Or are we witnessing a savior psyop as part of a controlled opposition agenda? And I think this is a really good question to kind of ask here, because a lot of people, and you guys know, anybody who's watched this channel for any period of time, anybody who's kept up with the news, especially over the last, 8 years or so, that there are a lot of people that are extremely fucking passionate when it comes to Trump. He has been compared to Cyrus, right? King Cyrus from the Bible. And we've drawn those comparisons on this channel from, him being the outsider to become the king, quote unquote, which I find it interesting. He was wearing a purple tie during his inauguration, which purple is the color of royalty, right? And Elon Musk was even saying that the king is back, right? So, there is this, this connotation of him, once again returning to the throne, or, a sense of royalty, and I'm not saying that I believe he's royalty at all. I'm just saying, like, this is what we're seeing kind of being pushed down our throats a little bit. And you can see that this is, part of the symbolism and the things that we're always fed through the media, right? It's, speaking to the subconscious. But we seen during the first term, him being compared to Cyrus, right? The outsider who became the king of Babylon. Babylon, in this case, being the United States of America, right? Modern day Babylon, the most powerful nation in the world, the greatest army, the richest nation, so on and so forth, right? and Cyrus was minted on a gold coin. Also, Donald Trump had a gold coin printed during his first term as well. And if you noticed during Cyrus's, term as king during that time, biblically, in his fourth year, Babylon actually fell. And if you guys remember, during the transition of power, when he lost the election to Joe Biden, we had what was called the Transition Integration Project of 2020, where the government were running exercises to simulate basically what happened during January 6th Capitol riots, quote unquote riots, because I do believe that was, a crisis event as well. And we've shown that in the private content for those that are members of the Patreon, but you can't put that on the public platforms, not even now, even with, censorship being outlawed. But what we actually had seen was this transition integration project. It was an exercise, basically outlining 3 different scenarios back in 2020. 2 out of the 3 was Donald Trump losing in a rigged election, right, or a disputed election where there was potential election fraud, right? There was some foul play involved. In all 3 of the scenarios, there was foul play involved, and the outcome would have been disputed. And that's exactly what happened. And we know anytime that the government has ever ran any of these exercises, you know what follows, whether this has to do with like school bang bangs, or this has to do with, when they were running exercises on 9/11, simulating the attack of the Twin Towers and the Pentagon, putting out, calls for actors, right? Crisis actors for a lot of these mass banging events, right? Because we can't say the words here on YouTube. Right. But every time we see one of these crisis acting scenarios, right, or these exercises, immediately what follows is an actual event, or what is portrayed as an actual event. And then lo and behold, what happens, right? The election was disputed, and this was the 4th year, right? Comparing him to Cyrus. He had 30,000 National Guard troops. This has never happened before. Washington, D.C., the federal government was shut down for this transition. 30,000 National Guard troops for the transition, and, occupying the nation's capital. And then we had, January 6th, the Capitol riots. And anybody familiar with my work when it comes to the Capitol riots as well, a lot of the footage, and I believe it was Jaden Smith who had kind of put out like the best of that footage. But a lot of the footage had shown what appeared to be movie glass, right? Plexiglass that was being broken. What appeared to be not actual mace, right, or pepper spray, but the police officers didn't have real badges. It appeared to be, and they were literally directing and conducting the crowd like it was a movie set, even to the point to where we seen the exchange of the officers and all of that were involved during when the woman was, unalived, what appeared to be exploding blood packets, and very choreographed scenario there. And I mean, a lot of people believe that this was one of the most tragic events and most heinous political events in our time. But if you had actually seen that, and I really strongly encourage you to go to patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official, and check that out. What you will see is that this was a very staged event. And, Trump did tweet and kind of setting up his followers, right? His voters, his supporters, for the woo, basically, right? He was telling them to come out and support him, and, they okie doked him. And that's what I mean. Like, Stalin said the best way to control the opposition is to lead it, right? And see, in a state now, where we see everything operating under collectivism, everything operating under collectivism, What you have is a character, a figurehead at the top of that pyramid. And Donald Trump has a lot of different groups in his collective, right? Christians are under his collective, conspiracy theorists, right wingers, white supremacists. I mean, just think about all the different groups that they've actually put underneath, the Trump movement. Okay. Anarchists, so on and so forth, right? So when you assassinate the character, the figurehead, the top of that pyramid, everybody else, follows. And we've seen every one of the things that have been used through that movement actually be weaponized and used against the very supporters that followed him. Remember fake news. That was the big thing first, is when he come out and was talking about how all the news was fake. You can't trust the media. Then what happened with fake news? It actually got weaponized and turned around and used against his followers, for actually telling the truth. Misinformation, disinformation, and a lot of people also don't remember that Operation Warp Speed, Trump, he's the one who rolled out the vaccines first. He's the one who rolled out the vaccines first. And before Joe Biden left office, speaking of vaccines, we've seen him pardoning quite a few people, right? Anthony Fauci being one of those people. And it makes you wonder, and his son, Hunter Biden, if he's not guilty of the laptops, why did he need to be pardoned? If Fauci didn't do anything wrong with the jabs, why does he need to be pardoned, right? General Miley and a lot of others. We're going to look at, the Biden pardons. We're going to look at the executive orders. There were a lot of good executive orders that were rolled out. I mean, it was just unleashed on Inauguration Day. And like I'm saying, is this, Trump waging war against the deep state, waging war against the left-wing liberal media? Or are we actually seeing this savior Psyop being ran? And think about it, guys. It almost looks too good to be true. It's almost too fucking perfect. How demonized Trump was the first time in 2016. Think about how attacking, the media attacked him. The government attacked him. I mean, he was just destroyed both sides of the aisle. They tried to put him in jail and all kinds of shit. It was wild, right? Never before in my life have I seen, something politically motivated get so fucking nasty, right? And be so, it was worldwide, it was huge. And what it actually did was end up polarizing people extremely, right? Extremely. So you either had one group of people that absolutely hate Donald Trump and they believe he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a womanizer, he's this, he's that, he's just the most terrible, he's a Nazi, he's the worst piece of shit human being on the face of the earth. And then you have another group of people that are absolutely diehard. And see, and this is a natural response. When you have the media, demonize a person and attack a person to this extent, you're always going to have those sheeple that go along with this and they buy into it, right? They believe everything that the news and the media tells them. So if they say he's a racist, they don't need any evidence of that. They just believe he's a racist, right? It's neuro-linguistic programming. Whenever you use words like racist, it automatically invokes it has a negative connotation with the word. So it automatically invokes a negative emotional response. And remember, trauma-based mind control is based on invoking those emotional responses, because once you get emotionally triggered, right, you can no longer think logically. Once we're in our emotions, we're in our feelings, the logical side of our brain cuts off, right? So when they use these words like racist and bigot and womanizer and all of these things, what it actually does is triggers people into an emotional state, and then they become reactive, right? They're reacting, they're no longer thinking, they're no longer using their logic, their critical thinking skills have went completely out the fucking window, right? So and that's a sad thing, but at the same time, look at our population now. You see this being done. It's almost fucking redundant how badly we see this happening to people on a daily basis. Look at, social media. This is, all of the algorithms are designed to shove your own beliefs right back into your face. There is no, the algorithms basically reinforce your ideologies and your beliefs and your opinions to you. And think about society where everybody gets a fucking participation trophy, nobody is challenged, all of these things, man. What it's done is created a generation of completely spoiled human beings, that don't have the ability to, not only be empathetic and put themselves in another person's position, and their world is completely small. It's, completely self-centered, self-involved. Everybody's trying to be famous. Everybody's, attention whores now online. Everybody is pushing their opinions as if they matter, and everybody thinks their opinion and, is more valuable than another. And they have even bought into the cancel culture and the censorship to where if you don't agree with them, they believe you deserve to be silenced, right? Because your opinion is dangerous because it's not the same as theirs. You know, that's where we're at right now with shit. So it's like, for real, it's not very hard to believe, that when somebody's getting their opinion pushed back down their throat day in and day out, once they're faced with someone with a differing point of view, they don't have the ability to have that, healthy discourse and that healthy debate, and to hear another person's point of view or opinions, and to discuss it and see things and think about things critically, right? Because every time they hear anything that differs from their own point of view, like I said, it triggers them emotionally. They get deep into their feels and they become extremely reactive, and that's why you see like so many people pushing so much venom, online. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this. Let me see if I can get the screen share here. There we go. All right. And if you guys are watching this at home, please make sure to hit the like and give this a thumbs up. And like I said, if you would like to check out, videos like the January 6th Capitol riots, videos like, you know, the Necronomicon, Gateway Process, Initiates of the Flame, the series of the Mysteries of the Gods. Join us over on patreon.com, Best Damn Podcast Official. And everybody that joins Patreon, you get free merch with your joining, coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies. It really is a good deal, and it helps the channel, helps me out. So here we go. Let's start off with the Biden pardons, and then we're going to get into the executive orders. Right? We're going to take a little bit a look at Trump's inauguration speech, some of the things that he promised, and we're going to kind of dissect this. So we start off here with Biden first, and Biden pardons Fauci, Miley, and the January 6th panel. It's a guard against potential revenge by Trump. So Joe Biden, in one of his final acts as president, let me get the chat up here. And, let me know if you guys can hear me. Like I said, I really do appreciate it. You can see me. Everything's coming through clearly. Hey, Amy, it's nice to see you. Pam, nice to see you as well. I appreciate you guys. I truly do. All right, here we go. And hey, I tried to do this video way earlier, but like I said, I had so much technical difficulties. I got a new setup, microphone and sound card and all of that. So it was like really me trying to like get all the kinks out of this and get it to work. But, after tonight, we should be back on track. So let me make sure everything's coming through clear. There we go. All right. So Joe Biden, in one of his final acts as president, pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Miley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And an extraordinary use of executive power to guard against potential revenge by the new Trump administration. The decision Monday by Biden came after now President Donald Trump had warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically or sought to hold him accountable for his attempt to overturn his 2020 election loss and his role in the Capitol siege 4 years ago. Trump has selected cabinet nominees who backed his election lies and who have pledged to punish those involved in efforts to investigate him. Now, this is fucking crazy. Now, this is how you know this is sad. See, the AP here, they are engaging in misinformation and disinformation, with this article in itself. Okay, with this article in itself. For one, they are taking things out of context, right? Coming after Trump, saying he warns of an enemies list, right? Or people who crossed him politically. This is not true, right? And holding people accountable for their attempt to overturn the 2020 election loss, right? Now, election fraud is a serious fucking thing. He has every right as the president of the United States to go after these people for, election fraud. And it was very evident that there actually was foul play involved in 2020. But I do believe that this was all intentional. If you think about it, right? Now, I want you to seriously think about it. Think about how polarized Trump was in 2016, right? Now, think about him losing in 2020 to Biden, which nobody wanted, right? Yet the media said he had more votes than any president in the history of voting. He was the most popular president in the history of presidents, but nobody voted for him, right? It's pretty crazy. And then there was all of this foul play that had gone on, okay? And so this contested election where the person that everybody actually voted for didn't win, and then over the next 4 years, the way that they tried to put him in jail so many different times and come after him so many different times. And, then what we see in the state of the country with the fucking inflation, the craziness with the trans agenda, the craziness with the electric cars agenda, the craziness with climate agenda, just all these fucking new world order, globalist bullshit agendas that nobody actually wants, right? This guy that's not actually elected, they got in there by way of corruption and deception, right? And the demonization of Trump to the extreme and the extent that we actually seen take place over the last 4 years, it was almost like you couldn't have written the story any better, if you know what I'm saying, right? Because then when he comes back in 2024, okay? So we had 2016, and we seen during 2016, he had the greatest fucking economy that the United States had ever seen before the pandemic. Then we see the pandemic take place, and he tried to keep the country open, right? Everything he did, he was completely attacked for it, right? Then the forcing of the rolling out of the vaccines and all of it. It was just fucking absolutely bonkers what we seen happen during his first term, right? And the New World Order agenda was the ball was moved to the goal line, right? They're punching this motherfucker in the end zone as we speak, right? And it's like the people had spoken as to what they actually wanted for their country. They wanted America to be put first again. They wanted, the government corruption to be stopped and all of this. And it's like, we got shut the fuck down, shut down. Trump came in strong, it looked like he was fighting for us. And then all of a sudden he was going right along with the agenda, right along with the agenda. He got bullied into the shit. And I believe it was part of the plan, just to be honest. I believe, he's one of them, just like Biden is one of them. You don't get in that position or in that office without being part of the club, right? And we know that he's buddies with Epstein and all that as well. So, I mean, I hate it when people that are Trump fans actually act like, he wasn't a part of the little Epstein club too, right? He's on flight logs. He's in pictures with him. You know, it's like everybody else that you see politically is guilty by association, but they want to pretend that Trump is not. It's like, no, he is too. You know, he is too. And if you think about a lot of the people that were, bankrolling him and funding him, especially during the first election, all of, the people from Israel, right? It's like, it's very obvious, he's a Zionist shill, you know. And then the agendas and the things that he rolled out, like I said, Operation Warp Speed, the vaccines and all of this, brought in the state of emergency through the pandemic, all of it, guys, all of it. Censorship was at an all-time high. I mean, it was just crazy. And it all happened under his watch. And yes, it was made to appear as if Trump was like this victim and they was attacking him and all of this, right? Which only polarized people towards him more. Then the contested 2020 election, which appeared to have some fraud going on and, foul play and all of that. And then Biden, they're telling us that, he's the most popular, got the most votes ever. And everybody knows it's bullshit and knows it's a lie, and knows it's fucked up. And then over that 4 years, they're attacking Trump, trying to put him in jail, and Biden's just fucking erasing everything that Trump had done, right? Creating inflation, just, the foreign policy, sending so much money to Ukraine, just the corruption, right? Hunter Biden, the laptops. It was just fucking phenomenal what we've seen take place over the last 4 years, and it's like everybody's seen, that they don't want that. So the story couldn't be made any better by Trump returning in 2024. Biden, him having dementia and being absolutely senile, doesn't decide to run, right? And after the first debate, it was very obvious why he didn't run, because he got the fucking, Trump mopped the floor with him. He made him look foolish because the guy's brain, his mind is just gone, and everybody knows it. Somebody like that with a mind state like that has no business having access to the nuclear codes. You know what I mean? No business having access to the nuclear codes. And then Kamala Harris, which everybody knew when Biden came into office the first time that it was really to bring in Kamala. Everybody knew that. Kamala, she was, and I'm trying to think about how to word this, but she's the most left-leaning politician, and they said she's like moderate and in the middle during her campaign this time, but they had done rankings before she was Biden's vice president, saying that she was the most liberal candidate, right? Like her record, she's a communist, basically. She's a fucking Marxist, and everybody knows it. And what's wild is nobody voted for her. Nobody elected her, yet here she is, going against Trump. And the news is feeding us all this shit that she's ahead, she's leading, da 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 da. We all know it's not true. Nobody wants her either. Nobody voted for her either. Matter of fact, she's such a bad candidate that, it was a shoo-in for Trump to win. And lo and behold, he gets 6 million more votes in the popular vote than anybody in the history, right? Wins the electoral college by a landslide, the popular vote by a fucking landslide. And then, now he has, RFK Jr., Elon Musk, like this all-star team of, these nationalists and, conservatives that are very beloved by the population, especially, the right, and people see as very amazing people and big people that are doing big things like Elon Musk and all this. It's like all of the power now appears to be in Trump's court, right? The ball appears to be in Trump's court. All the power appears to be in his hands. All of the members of his cabinet, it's like he couldn't have chosen it any perfectly. JD Vance, all of it. Like the guy's got it all together. He's dominating everywhere. The House, all of it. They're dominating, right? There's basically, he's going to be unstoppable, right? In the next 4 years. Okay. And he's got this crazy fucking comeback to where he looks like a god, right? He's like, they fucking tried to kill him in Pennsylvania, in Butler, Pennsylvania, right? They shot him in his ear, which, it reminded me when that happened. Here, I'll show you it. Remind me of the Illuminati card game, right? If you guys aren't familiar with this, hopefully you guys can hear me. Make sure you hit that like too, guys, if you're in the chat. It reminds me of the Enough is Enough card, right? If you guys aren't familiar with this, in 1991, Steven Jackson, which allegedly is the great, 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 great grandson of Nostradamus, right? Created this card game, and this is allegedly what the elites play. These cards, they're fucking eerie. And if we just look at some of the cards, I'll show you some of the cards in just a moment, right? Just how fucking wild it is. These cards are supposed to be fake, but they actually, and this is for the New World Order. You can actually see most of these things, these cards have already taken place, and this was created decades ago, including, with people like Alex Jones, um, just Donald Trump and his rise, just so many different things. And enough is enough. And you can see Donald Trump right here. His face is screaming and all that. And you can see like the little COVID virus and shit in the background and all this. It's just wild. And he says, at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. Play this card on your turn before drawing any plots. You may remove all zap, paralysis on attributes, freeze cards that are affecting your power structure. However, preoccupied with your house cleaning, you may draw no plots this turn. So now think about this, right? Now think about, it looks like as if Kamala is like fucking gaining ground on Trump. She busts his ass in the first debate. And then all of a sudden, this motherfucker gets popped in the ear, rises up with the blood on his shit, with pumping his hand and everything. I mean, it was epic. It was epic, made for television, And if the guy didn't have a fucked up ear, which he does now, I can show you Donald Trump's ear today, right? As opposed to 2016, for people to think that it was, also a false flag. So you can see where his ear is actually, it's been hit, guys. It's clearly been hit. You can see right there. This is him with Vance, right? He doesn't have the same ear he had in 2016. So it does, appear that he actually was hit by a bullet in his ear, So I'm just saying, and like I said, on these these Illuminati cards, I mean, I'm just going to show you some of these motherfuckers and show you some of the things that have actually happened here. Now, look, terrorist nuke, right? There's the Twin Towers. There's the Pentagon getting hit. With population reduction, the CDC, right? It's fucking crazy. The epidemic or pandemic, the quarantine, right? The charismatic leader is another Trump card, right? You see him right there. I mean, enough is enough. All of these things, guys. And there's the Supreme Court. The NSA. I mean, you could go on and on. There's so many of these cards that have actually already been played. If you're not familiar with this, I mean, seriously, this is something to check out. You can even see Alex Jones in these, and one is called Dupe with Alex Jones. Look, global warming. There's World War III, air magic, showing the fucking chemtrails, conspiracy theorists. I mean, the whole nine, guys. The whole nine. It's fucking wild. It's wild, And if you've never, like I said, fucking, and the frog god, which is also Trump. You guys remember Keck the frog, right? The idols are both frightening and silly, and no one knows why masters keep them around. You may interfere with privilege attack on either side, right? This is the frog god. This is also Trump too. And notice it's got the Freemasonic shit on it, So, in which we always see Trump doing the hand signs and everything too, the hidden hand, all of it, guys, all of it. He's definitely part of the boy club. He went to Fordham University, which is a Jesuit school. You see 33 on Trump Tower, and all of this is black and gold. I mean, if people don't see that, then they're just blind, or they're willingly looking the other fucking way. And here's that epic ass image right there, right? And this is where he thwarted Kamala's you know, uh, all of her momentum went to shit after this happened, right? And he took a fucking commanding lead, and he never looked back. He never looked back. And then we have this fucking amazing story. The best damn podcast. Oops, sorry. Written for television. It's like written for television. It's like a fucking movie script, right? It's like a movie script is what it is. So, and then he's coming back to power. Now, Biden, before he leaves, right? He's doing all the, saying that Trump has an enemies list, right? To do the overturn his selected cabinet nominees who backed his election lies. It's like, dude, just the misinformation of this article is mind-blowing. It says, quote, the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense, Biden said in a statement. Our nation owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country. And I did see an article that said Trump said that Biden should have pardoned himself. I mean, he pardoned his fucking wife, his son, like General Miley, who's definitely, seditious motherfucker, right? Traitor. Fauci, and we know why he pardoned Fauci. And just so many other things, and everybody that was on the committee against the January 6th, attack on the Capitol, because they know it was a false flag event, right? They know it was bullshit. They know it was. That's why he's pardoned all of them, because it's probably going to be brought out sometime. And I heard, and I'm not one of those Q trust the plan motherfuckers. I never have been and never will be. But I just want to say I did hear this, and we'll see how true this is, that the reason that they tried to assassinate Trump is because they were so afraid that if he got elected, that this time, and I could see it in this being orchestrated, that he actually would go after all of his political opponents and put them in jail, right? And use things like, the child trafficking, human trafficking, election fraud, all of these things that are at his disposal to take them down, right? Of course, all of his homies would be safe, but this would be to, it's a coup d'etat is what it is, right? And it's happened through the military. Trump has been heavily aligned with the military. Matter of fact, in numerology, I believe he's a life path number 4, which 4 correlates to the military and law enforcement, and everything about Trump's reign correlates to, military law enforcement. Remember during the first, 2016, 7, right, being this major number, Trump Pence, right? The trumpets, right? The trumpets, and think about 7 trumpets and all of that, right? And like I said, the comparisons to King Cyrus, him being minted on a gold coin, the outsider who became the king of Babylon, Babylon falling in his 4th year, and then the 30,000 National Guard troops occupying the nation's capital during the transition of power. And even, I believe that there was, when they fired the cannons during Biden's inauguration, instead of them firing however many times they actually fired them, it was like they only fired them 3 times or whatever, which is signaling a foreign enemy has taken power. I don't know if you guys remember that. I don't know how much truth is to that. It'd be something to look into. But let's take a look here. This is the executive orders, and some of these executive orders I absolutely fucking love. Like, I absolutely love them. My favorite one, the one that got me, is the censorship one, right? Because I have literally lost my livelihood over censorship, I was at one point able to make my living by creating content, and about 2020 after the pandemic, right? It just kind of changed everything. I lost Discord servers with over 1,000 people for medical misinformation, YouTube channels, Facebook accounts, everything, demonetized, shadow banned, accounts canceled and removed. It's just absolutely wild. And I think my phone's actually interfering with my shit here. So. Interfering with my shit here. All right, okay. I'll make sure I got good sound. Sorry, guys. All right, so make sure to hit that like if you're in the chat. Everything Trump did in the first executive orders and actions of his presidency. President, and I'm going to pull the chat up if you guys want to throw some shit out. I'll read off some comments here. There we go. Looks like we got an active chat now. See Rick Thompson in the house, Rhoda Rose, Donna Marie Farrell, Claudette Malespina, Danny Davis, Amy VR, Pam. I appreciate all of you guys. A clone? Who's the clone? I see somebody saying clone. Who's the clone? Is it Trump or is it Biden or is it both? Right? I do believe Biden for sure is not the original Biden. I think Biden passed away shortly after he was inaugurated. AJT1111. It's nice to see all of you guys. I love you so much. I appreciate you guys. Make sure to hit the thumbs up in the chat if you guys can. During or after the broadcast, share the link to your social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever. Share it. That way people can check it out. If you dig the video, make sure to comment. Like I said, y'all in the live chat, I'll read off your comments or questions or anything like that. If you guys want to have some stuff we can look at, we can look into some things that you're interested in that goes along with tonight's subject. And, if you catch us on the flip side or after the live is over, make sure to comment in the comment section. It helps with the algorithms as well. Hit the thumbs up and consider donating, supporting to the channel. Like I said, we've been demonetized on everything. Join us over on Patreon. I have such a huge catalog of private shows that you cannot get anywhere else. My best work by far. Some new, some old. So President Donald Trump started his second administration. Jesus, I keep hitting this fucking sound card. Sorry, guys. President Donald Trump started his second administration with a blitz of policy actions to reorient the U.S. government. His executive order covers issues that range from trade, immigration, and U.S. foreign aid to demographic diversity, civil rights, and the hiring of federal workers. Some have an immediate policy impact. Others are more symbolic, and some are already being challenged by federal lawsuits. Now, here's a comprehensive look at Trump's directives so far in his first 3 days. Immigration and U.S. borders. Now, he designates, quote, invasion across the southern border of the United States, a move that triggers certain executive powers. Hold on here. Let me see if I can get a better article on this. Trump's executive orders. We want to get all these here. All right. I feel like I'm getting some feedback here. If you guys can hear that or not. So he designates an invasion across the southern border of the United States, a move that triggers certain executive branch powers. So Trump says his cabinet shall take appropriate action to repel, repatriate, or remove any alien engaged in the invasion. He allows U.S. military service members to act as immigration and border enforcement officers as part of the Trump's promised mass deportation program. Trump's order covers the Ready Reserve and National Guard military property that could be used as detention space, ground and air support vehicles, and, quote, other logistic services in support of civilian controlled law enforcement operations. nations. The Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 has historically limited the use of military personnel in domestic law enforcement actions. Trump's order frames migrant flow as a national security threat, which he reasons justifies his military orders as commander-in-chief. So I just want to kind of say this too. With what we're seeing and he declared a national emergency on the U.S. borders, having the ability to bring out the National Guard and the reserve, right? And this is what we're going to see be deployed at the border and the mass deportation program. Now, this is being painted by the media as they're getting rid of all these legal immigrants, but it's not what's actually happening. See, what's actually happening is it's a mass deportation of illegal aliens. These aren't immigrants at all. So when they use this term, right, they're mass deportation of immigrants. It's not immigrants, right? These aren't legal immigrants. This is a mass deportation of illegal aliens, people that come here legally, people that have criminal records, right, that are wanted in other countries for murder, rape, and, all of these different things. We've seen the border wall be completely undermined during Biden's, reign. And now we're seeing, things being imposed. The catch and release program is now being put to an end. All of this is coming to an end. And, I think it is kind of scary to see Trump already declaring all these different national emergencies. I won't lie. I think that's pretty, because during these national emergencies, what he's able to do is to have unlimited power, right? To forego the legislative process, right? And the legal process. So it's like he's able to pass laws and to put things into place, through these executive orders under, these national emergencies. And, the Senate, Congress, right, voters, nobody gets to have a say in it, and that's scary. It is scary because it's like, especially when we see these type of actions, anytime that they tell us they're doing something to protect us, you can almost fucking guarantee it, right? That there's always an agenda, and in this case, we have no idea, is what I'm saying. We have no idea if there was some sort of invasion by another country and, or, we got bombed or hit by a fucking asteroid or a tidal wave or anything, right? A lot of people have, suspected for a long fucking time that this border wall wasn't to keep people out, but it was to keep people in, right? It was to keep people in. Or any type of natural disaster or war or anything like that, we needed to escape the nation. We wouldn't be able to with a wall and the National Guard occupying our border. Now the mass deportation program, right, as well. Stop refugee arrivals and suspend the U.S. refugee admission program effective January 27th, 2025, pending a 90-day review and recommendations from Homeland Security, the State Department, and others, right? Redefine birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. A Trump order asserts that a child born in the U.S. is not a citizen if, one, the mother does not have legal immigration status or is in the country legally, but only temporarily, and two, the father is not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. The order forbids U.S. agencies from issuing any document recognizing such a child as a citizen or accept any state document recognizing citizenship. This order is already being challenged in federal court. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I just don't agree with that. If they're born in the United States and they're a United States citizen, it's always been that way. I do See, he's trying to stop what's called anchor babies, right? Where people come into the country illegally and then they have a baby on US soil, and it's an anchor baby. It allows illegal aliens to be able to stay into the United States because they had their baby here and their baby is a US citizen, right? But what he's saying is that if either the mom or the dad, either one, isn't a citizen, then they're not going to allow the anchor baby thing to take place anymore, right? The baby won't be a citizen either if at least one of the parents isn't a legal citizen already. So I find that to be interesting. I love to hear your guys' thoughts on some of this. For one, I'd like to hear what you think about the National Guard troops occupying the border, right? You guys' opinions on the National Guard troops occupying the border, what you guys think about this mass deportation. Do you believe that this is, right? Do you believe that this should be happening? Do you believe that this is a good or a bad thing for our country? Nice to see you, Chrono Crucified. I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about in the chat. I'd love to, if you guys want to throw something out on the topic tonight, I'd love to see your comments. But I'd love to hear what you think about, this as well. The anchor babies. Do you think it's a good thing of him stopping the anchor babies, right? Do you believe that it is constitutional, for, them to not allow someone born in the United States to be a United States citizen if one of their parents weren't already a citizen? What do you think? And I believe this will be challenged and overturned. I don't believe that this one's going to stick, honestly. Also, he's prioritized continued construction of the wall and other barriers along the U.S.-Mexico border. Direct the attorney, and they have wiring all through the wall as well to be able to hook up certain shit on there. And I heard him say that in his speech the other day, which kind of blew my mind. Which we're going to play a little bit of his speech in just a moment. We'll kind of spread it out and do pieces of it here. But I wonder if it's like for them to be able to, operate drones or directed energy or, what, but it allows them to hook right up into the fence, different types of apparatuses. Direct the Attorney General and Homeland Security to create Homeland Security task forces in all 50 states, comprising of state and local law enforcement charged with, quote, ending the presence of criminal cartels, foreign gangs, and transnational criminal organizations. Yes, stop the anchor babies, says Rhoda Rose. But can I ask you, Rhoda, why? Why do you believe that this needs to stop? Why do you believe that it's important for us to put a stop to the anchor babies? Do you believe that it's constitutional, right, to say that a child born in the United States, born on U.S. soil, is not a United States citizen just because one of the parents isn't a legal citizen? I'm just interested to hear what people think about this. This one kind of blows me the fuck away. I won't, I'm being honest. And to me, I think that's very unconstitutional. It's like our country is made up of immigration. I know the anchor baby shit is fucked up, but that baby can't help it, right? And it's supposed to be born, under our protection as a United States citizen. Giving Homeland Security Secretary wide latitude to establish agreements with individual state and local law enforcement agencies, quote, to the maximum extent permitted by law, that empower those non-federal officials to act as federal immigration officers. What about that? Homeland Security, right? The maximum extent of the law to act, and they're empowering non-federal officials to act as federal officers. It's fucking wild what some of the stuff that's happening here. So it's like federalizing almost everything, right? So it's like, I want you guys to kind of like look under the surface. And I know like a lot of Trump supporters are like, they go along with everything this fucking guy says, right? They're just brainwashed. They've lost the ability to critically think. They've lost the ability to challenge, they've lost the ability to challenge him because they're so taken by the rhetoric and the programming, right? It's like they're so polarized, and I know people like this. I have people like this in my family that are so diehard Donald Trump, he can do no wrong. Literally, he can do no wrong. I mean, you can't even tell a joke about the guy without them getting offended. And if you're one of those people, let me tell you why you're doing this. It's because you identify yourself with him. How fucking crazy is that? You identify yourself with Donald Trump as if you and him are one and the same, or you're part of that political party, or you're part of that regime. And I hate to fucking tell you, brother or sister, you are not. You are not. Whether you're, it means the mind control and the programming is working extremely effectively, right? The psyop is, it's getting deep into your brain. Um, by fucking with your emotions, because we know that our emotions is the key to all of this programming and mind control. Like I said, trauma-based mind control, it's all about evoking that emotional response to get us, to stop our ability to think logically, right? And once you begin to identify, right, with that character or that figurehead, that, part of that collective, and you're part of that collective, Christians, conservatives, so on and so forth, right? Anarchists, conspiracy theorists, right wingers, you're part of that collective. Jacques Renaud, it's nice to see you too, man. I love you, man. Nice to see you guys. And I'm going to read these comments real quick. Rotaro says many service people had babies in foreign countries and are still American citizens. Okay, that's not the same thing. They were service people that had children overseas on American bases and shit like that, right? So they were doing jobs for the country, enlisted, you know, for the country. That's very, very different. That's actually irrelevant. And she also says that is with their American wives in foreign countries. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing on what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about right now is people coming across the border, having children. They themselves are not American citizens, right? And they may be, illegal aliens. Not even most of them are illegal aliens. And then once they have a baby here on American soil, because the child is born on American soil, the child is an American citizen. And that's what an anchor baby is, right? Is having a child on American soil to get your foot in the door, right? That way you're no longer illegal, right? Because you have to be here with your kid. They can't separate you, even though we do know that that's, he tried to do that the first time around, separating, families, which is fucking crazy. Yeah, and nice to see you too. And Chrono Crucify says, I try my best to sit in the middle of the groups of people arguing. A lot of chaos about to ensue. Yeah, there is a lot of chaos about to ensue. And I don't buy into the Civil War shit at all. I don't believe we're there yet. It's just fucking wild. But, so we're seeing that the anchor babies thing being stopped, meaning if you're born on American soil, you wouldn't be an American citizen if either one of your parents aren't a legal citizen. We're also seeing, the task force, right? We have special security task force in all 50 states. And this is what scares me about it, right? Because, it's more of like that police state bullshit that we see in every regime, right? It's always in the name of safety and security, but somehow or another, it brings in more surveillance. It brings in more power, more control. And I hate to tell you, once they have the power, once they have the control, they never relinquish it, ever, ever. You never see it go back, revert back to the way that things were, right? And you never will. The war on terror, the war on drugs, the war on COVID, every one of those have left a scar, an ugly, nasty scar on America and the world, right? And they've been used to fucking create this police state, this surveillance state, right? And posse comitatus prohibits, right, the American military from being used domestically against its own citizens. And Trump, the first time, was, had some run-ins with posse comitatus, right? With the deployment of the 30,000 National Guard troops in the nation's capital, right? For the transition integration project. So, I mean, I'm just saying, it's like when he's compared to a dictator and shit like that, it sounds so fucking far-fetched, especially like the Hitler comparisons and all of this, like it does. But this guy really does seem to be leaning towards, fascism. And if you understand, fascism does come through the right wing, right? And it's extreme nationalism, right? And we are seeing this, and I'm not saying he is a fascist or anything like that. I'm just saying we are seeing this kind of totalitarian undertone, and it's creeping back up again during his second term. During the first time, like I said, the National Guard troops, right? All the emergency powers during COVID and the pandemic. It was just very crazy to see that happening. The things with the border, the wall, all of it, and some of them were what can people consider to be good things and some not so much. And this time it's like there aren't even things happening yet. In his first day in office, he's already slamming, the gavel and really bringing it home. And like I said, Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security task force in all 50 states, right, comprising state and local law enforcement charged with ending the presence of criminal cartels, gangs, and transnational criminal organizations. Okay. And giving Homeland Security Secretary wide latitude to establish agreements, deals with individual state and local law enforcement agencies to the maximum extent permitted by law to empower non-federal officials as federal officials. It's fucking crazy, federalizing everything, right? And then all of these National Guards and all of this, on the border, these emergencies being declared, and under emergency powers, you can do anything. I said that earlier. Requiring the collection of DNA samples and fingerprints from immigration detainees under a 2005 federal law. I'm trying to tell you, look at this, man. Look at this. You're going to see this agenda, like this whole identification, right? The bio identification. You can guarantee it. We're going to see digital IDs and all of this, be implemented during the next 4 years. Rick Thompson said, if he got elected, it would be the last presidential election or close to those words. I never heard him say that, Rick. But I have heard him be called the last president, right? The last president. So, and there's a book called The Last President, right? Literally, and it's King Donald, right? Who lives in Trump Tower, right? In New York City. It's so eerie and so similar, right? And Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. There's a lot of, symbolism and, shit like that. So, moving forward, and let's take before we continue to go through here, I want to play a little bit of his speech here.
Pleasure to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, 2 wings, same bird, Rhoda. Absolutely. Hopefully you guys can hear this. Let me know if you guys can hear the video, the audio.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, Vice.
Welcome to America. What do you think?
The brutalist.
I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America.
And I kind of want you to pay attention. It looks like we're getting a little glitchy. I'm seeing the stream here. Just bear with me, guys. If it's a little glitchy, it's, I know, especially today when people watch content and watch videos, it sucks. But it's like there's even so much as like not perfect 1080 quality and perfect sound. It's like, people, they throw out the baby with the bathwater. It's like, listen to the message, listen to the information that's being presented, yeah, we're getting a little bit of drag on this, but we got clear sound. So it's like, I want you to listen to the words and the things that he's saying here. He says a few things that he's going to be presenting as well.
Gathered today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina. Do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them.
And I do want to ask people too, in the chat, I would love to hear your thoughts. I mean, in the comment section too, whether you see this live or not. I want to know, what you think of these executive orders. We've only touched the tip of the iceberg. We've got so many more to kind of cover and go through, and we will. I'm trying to give, mix it up with a little bit of the speech and all this too. Listen to the lies being told. Absolutely, Rhoda. Yeah, absolutely. Gave us hell to make us beg to have Trump back. All part of the plan. I agree. See what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. It's like an epic fucking movie. The guy gets slammed the first 4 years. He comes in being this anti-deep state, right? The outsider becomes a king of Babylon, right? Looks like he's doing big things, it's like, and then all of a sudden they attack him, the pandemic and just all of this, right? And he folds like a fucking chair, right? The dude folds, goes right along with the agenda, they try to impeach the motherfucker and everything. And then we have the transition integration project and the 2020 fucking rigged bullshit election. Biden wins. Everybody knows he doesn't. They feed us this bullshit, right? They try to put the motherfucker in jail. We get the most miserable 4 years of our lifetimes under Biden with inflation and just all of it, all the bullshit agendas, right? The globalist agendas, to the point of Jacques Renew, like you said, we're fucking begging for Trump back. We're begging for him back because like what we've been put through. Okay. And then he comes in, and of course, Kamala gets put in Biden's place. Everybody knew they wanted her, right? And that they were going to try to push her on us. You know, we've had the trans agenda pushed on us, right? The immigration, just all of these agendas pushed down our fucking throat over the last 4 years. Trump comes in, smokes them in the electoral college, smokes them in the popular vote, right? And then the first fucking day delivers on all of his promises. They are setting him up as the savior. I mean, they are setting it up, right? And I can guarantee all of these things look good on the surface, guys. But federalizing everything, dropping fucking the military, in our country against posse comitatus, right? Like all of this, it's not what it appears to be. There is agenda behind this, right? Everything it's ever disguised, in the name of safety and security, you can bet your sweet ass that it's never what it appears to be. You can bet it. and mark my fucking words on this. And I'm not anti-Trump either. I voted for the guy because look what fucking choice we had. Lesser of two evils. They're both evil. They're both evil. Time will tell. Well, I mean, yes, time will tell, Rhoda. I agree with that, But I mean, now, and he's declaring there are only two genders. He's doing all these things. We all love it. We love it. We're eating it up. But where's it going to lead us, right? Where's it going to lead us? You think it's going to stop with immigrants, having the, DNA and all these different things? Like, oof, you can tell where this is going. You can tell where this is going.
All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly.
Hit the thumbs up if you're in the chat, too.
My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
He's greasing you up. He's greasing you up. He's getting ready to stick it in.
Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have...
And I want you to, America's destiny, what he's talking about, guys, this is another Freemasonic, undertone here, okay? If you guys have ever read, and I did a video on it, actually, it probably is still up, on Manly P. Hall's Secret Destiny of America, right? America was founded on Freemasonry. The Statue of Liberty, has the Freemasonic symbol on it, right? It came from France, the Merovingian Illuminati and all of this, right? Like, we are founded on secret societies and the Masonic Brotherhood. It's prominent, started here and spread throughout the entire fucking world, right? Bavarian Illuminati, to here today, here today. This is a Luciferian country, right? The worship of Baal or Baal and Moloch, from down to, everything that you see here. It's all about, Lucifer, and remember too, this Secret Destiny America, this is a Freemasonic destiny, right? To bring and think about it, liberty, enlightenment, right? Libertas. This is the light bearer, guys. This is Luciferian in nature and in principle. What they're doing, these principles that we are founded on are Luciferian principles. I hate to tell you, it's just the truth. You can say, put God first, or we're a Christian nation. No, we're not. And we never have been. We never have been. Right. That's why, the dollar bill and all of this, it's, the 13 leaves on the olive branch and, the 13 stripes and the 50 stars, right? The 50 sparks that Prometheus stole, like this all correlates to and Prometheus is Lucifer as well, the light bearer. this all correlates to, Lucifer and, this indoctrination into the Luciferian principles and the Luciferian beliefs, right? Through liberty and all of these things, freedom, liberty, these are all Luciferian principles. And Albert Pike had a letter to Mazzini in 1871 outlining the 3 world wars. And I'll just show you the last little part of that one, if I can find it here. If we can see it here. I don't know if this is the letter here. Hold on. I don't think this is it. Nope. What? I don't know what the fuck this is. See if we can find it. But basically, these 3 world wars. And the last World War, World War III, which they've all happened just exactly like, exactly like we were told it would happen. The Zionists, the Nazis, all of these, rises and things they said would happen, right? And then finally, the Third World War is based on a social cataclysm, right? And the social cataclysm is the bringing us into the true, the true light of Lucifer is what it boils down to. Here, we'll actually go back to this instead of going through letters, but to create a war between Christians and the nihilist and the atheist, right? To create a social cataclysm. And that's exactly what we've seen through psychological warfare, disinformation, misinformation, to have all these different collectives at each other's throat to collapse the social structure of society. And remember, the Aquarian age, which we are entering into the Aquarian age, is all about social structure, right? Aquarius is also rebellious, so it's like the rebellion of a social structure, the recreation or realignment or reorganization of a social structure, right? And that's what we're seeing. Aquarian energy is also about technology as well, and now we're seeing this implementation of neural networks, fucking D-wave technology, right? Quantum computation, artificial intelligence, all of this rise of technology, this reordering of the social order and social hierarchy, these social cataclysms taking place. In the Third World War, there's never a shot fired, guys. It's what we're seeing now, psychological warfare, right? This rebellious spirit, like rebelling against the natural order of things, right? Order out of chaos, right? Collapsing the old world, creating the new, this brave new world that we're seeing. And if you look at, and I got the book right here, George Orwell's 1984, right? 1984, this police state, the surveillance state, were these 3 superpowers, right? United States, Russia, and China, what we see now, right? In this perpetual war system, to give us the illusion of war. And notice everything in that book, it's like it's staged. They're letting off fireworks and shit, and people thinking they're bombs. It's the illusion of what we see today, right? Where no war is real, no crisis is real. It's all to keep you in constant fear, and in an emotional in that emotional state, that way you can never think logically and think critically. And when they traumatize you in such a way, it also severs the neurological connections, right? So our brain fires on these electrical synapses during in our brain, right? And that's what makes the connections that creates our memory. And the reason we all have this goldfish memory is because we've been traumatized so much, it severs those connections, because the human brain naturally represses and tries to forget trauma, right? So if you're constantly watching horror movies, you're constantly seeing violence, you're constantly living in fear, right? Those connections are constantly being severed, and you can't remember, right, what's taking place. This goes along with fucking, all of the metals in our food, and, in our water, right? The calcification of our pineal gland. It's like you go, the vaccinations, just all of it, guys, all of it. And it's like, this is all designed to shorten the memory. That way we forget our history, right? We forget it all,
I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago, in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through
Queen Bee,
my
nice
ear.
to see you.
But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
Yes, you can decalcify the pineal gland.
We will move with purpose and speed to bring swing states and
I want to get to where
in the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense.
Now, here he gets to his promises. This is what I wanted to get to, the part of this. You guys have heard a lot of the fluff and the bullshit of the speech. Now I want you to, and look at Biden just laughing at him. He's a fucking joke, though. What I want you to hear is, these different orders that he's bringing out. We're going to get back to the executive orders, what he's done so far, right? Like I said, the immigration executive orders, he promised a mass deportation, but hasn't detailed how he'd implement it, staffed and fund the massive, costly operation, declared a national emergency at U.S.-Mexico border, vowing to deploy troops to the region, including National Guard. He also instructed the Secretary of Defense and Homeland Security to construct additional border barriers. Trump designated a certain international cartels and organizations such as Tren de Aragua and MS-13 as foreign terrorist organizations, and announced plans to invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to target them. And you know what? When I heard him say that he was targeting the cartels, I thought, he's going to get smoked for this one. They're going to unalive his motherfucking ass for this one. Going up against these cartels, but also you got to think, these cartels are the CIA as well, right? The CIA is always in bed with the mafia, the cartels, all of this. So it's like, MS-13 especially. So Trump suspended the U.S. refugee admissions program resettlements until such time as further entry into the United States of refugees aligns with the interests of the United States. Homeland Security will report back within 90 days whether resuming refugee entries would be in the interest of America. Nearly 1,660 Afghans cleared by U.S. to resettle in the country, including family of active duty U.S. military personnel, had their flights canceled following Trump's orders, Reuters reported. Trump also ordered Homeland Security to terminate all categorical parole programs that are contrary to the policies of the United States established in my executive orders, including those for refugees fleeing Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Remain in Mexico policy. Trump reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy, ending a program that released asylum seekers into the U.S. while their cases were considered. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection website said Monday that appointments made through the CBP One app at certain border crossings have been canceled. Hour later, Trump nixed the program. Trump empowered officials to repeal, repatriate, or remove any alien engaged in the invasion of the southern border. Trump birthright citizenship executive order, one of his boldest moves was an attempt to end birthright citizenship for those born to undocumented immigrants, which is crazy. We've already talked about that. Birthright citizenship is protected by the U.S. Constitution, and the order faces legal challenges. Like I said, it's unconstitutional in my opinion. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this. We already had somebody say they agree with it. Get rid of these anchor babies is what she said, right? Trump. It also applies to children born to mothers who are lawful temporary residents and fathers who are not citizens or lawful permanent residents. Energy and environment executive orders. Trump declared a national energy emergency, ordering expedited, deregulated drilling as he's repeatedly vowed to drill, baby, drill. That liquid gold, right? One order specifically targets energy production in Alaska, rescinding former President Biden's protections around the state's coastal areas. And it's like, no matter what you think about this, I do think like the coastal drilling and shit and the drilling in the ocean and fracking is very fucking dangerous. When they blow these fucking things up and when they fuck it up, just oil pours out into our oceans. It's just, I believe that should not be allowed. Honestly, that's my opinion. One order specifically targets energy production in Alaska. In a separate memorandum, Trump paused offshore wind leasing in federal waters, which the wind shit is bullshit anyways. The heads of all other relevant agencies shall not issue new or renewed approvals, rights of ways, permits, leases, loans, or offshore or onshore wind projects pending review of federal wind leasing per the order. The Paris Climate Treaty. State of play. He also signed an order withdrawing the U.S., the world's second largest greenhouse gas emitter, from the Paris Climate Agreement. Trump had pulled out of the pact during his first term. You guys remember that? But Biden rejoined the deal in day one, order of his own. It takes a year to withdraw from the agreement, Axios' Andrew Friedman reports. Trump also took aim at the Biden administration's federal procurement targets for clean power, electric vehicles, and other energy goals, which I was seeing in one of the electric vehicle factories, that they actually needed to have a coal plant start back up in order to power the electric fucking vehicle plant. So it's like, it makes no goddamn sense. If you guys don't even have enough electricity to power the fucking factory, how are you going to power all these vehicles? It's just fucking asinine, the shit they do. That was ridiculous, the electric vehicle mandate. Trump also revoked the 2021 Biden executive order that set a goal for 50% of U.S. vehicle sales to be electric by 2030. That's the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. That's another globalist agenda. I'm glad he nixed that one. Executive orders targeting DEI and transgender Americans. And this is one I am a big fan of, actually. You guys can hate me if you want. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you do with your own body, right? Like, that's your business. I don't care if you're gay, straight. It's none of my fucking business what people do in the privacy of their own home, or who they love, or any of that. I don't judge anyone for that. But with that said, and I believe in gay marriage as well. I believe the Constitution protects all marriage, right? We shouldn't be enforcing our fucking religious views on other people, right? Gay couples shouldn't have to subscribe to, Christianity. And what they, if they say marriage is between a man and a woman, well, that's a religious view, right? The truth is people are gay, that happens. And they have the same right to be married and enjoy the same benefits of marriage, legal marriage, as straight people do. And that's just my opinion. You can hate me for it. I don't give a fuck. That's just what I believe, right? I'm very libertarian when it comes to my beliefs, at least if I was to put a label on it. But at the same time, I believe the targeting of children by, with the transgender, there's no such thing as a transgender child, period. Period. What they're actually trying to do is transgender people are trying to target children, right, to justify what the fuck they're doing, right? Their bullshit. It's like, oh, well, people are, kids are transgender. No, they're not. And we have no right to be cutting off the nuts of a fucking child, right? Or to be feeding them fucking hormones and shit like that. That damages their growth, their puberty, and all of it. It's just sick. It's disgusting. We should not be sexualizing children whatsoever. Children don't think about sex at 5 years old. It's fucking insane. What are the cards called? So if I try to look it up online to study where to buy them, please, they are called the Illuminati card game. It's the Illuminati card game by Steven Jackson. See if I can. Here, I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you there. Here's the link right there. I don't know if that's the link to the actual site, but you get the point here. Right? You get the point. But I mean, I don't agree with the transgender thing whatsoever. So I don't believe, it's like, I have no problem if somebody wants to be called, sir or ma'am or whatever. I'm not doing the they, them shit. That's stupid and ridiculous. People just are fucking ridiculous. It's mental illness is what it actually is, for the most part. But if you want to be a female, I have no problem, treating you and identifying you as a female, but I'm not going to teach my children that you're a female and that I don't actually believe you're a female. You're a male, you just, had your dick chopped off and you're taking hormones, which is your choice. I don't care what you do. You should be allowed to do whatever you want. But, minors should not be allowed to do it. It should not be indoctrinated on children. We should not be forced to play along with their delusions, So I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Really, in the chat too, please, 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 in the chat, in the comment section, I really, really want some feedback on tonight's episode. I want you guys to tell me, how do you feel about, the two genders, right? And now the United States recognizes there are only two genders. Do you feel that is a good thing, a positive thing? Do you agree, disagree? How do you feel about the new border policy and the national emergency declared on the border? How do you feel about them declaring the cartels, these, terrorist organizations? So Trump established Monday that it is a policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female, on official documents. These sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality, his executive order read. And I'm Transgender Americans were a central target of Trump's often hyperbolic and outright false campaign trail messaging. What in the fuck? I mean, do you literally hear this? Like, the media is fucking disgusting. The mainstream media, and I hate that, the Google searches are so filtered and censored now, you can almost only get mainstream media when you search shit. And I like to read it anyways because it shows you what we're being indoctrinated, what's being pushed down our fucking throats. But it's like the way that they word things and the way that they try to lead people with their articles, So the presidential action defending women from gender ideology extremism and restoring biological truth to the federal government executive order by the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including Section 7301 of Title V, the United States Code, hereby ordered across the country, ideologues who deny the biological reality of sex have increasingly used legal and other socially coercive means to permit men to self-identify as women and gain access to intimate single-sex spaces and activities designed for women, from women's domestic abuse shelters to women's workplace showers. This is wrong. Efforts to eradicate the biological reality of sex fundamentally attack women by depriving them of their dignity, safety, and well-being. The erasure of sex in language and policy has a corrosive impact not just on women, but the validity of the entire American system. Basing federal policy on truth is critical to scientific inquiry, public safety, morale, and trust in government itself. The unhealthy road is paved by an ongoing and purposeful attack against the ordinary and long-standing use and understanding of biological and scientific terms, replacing the immutable biological reality of sex with an internal, fluid, and subjective sense of self unmoored from biological facts, invalidating the true and biological category of woman improperly transforms laws and policies designed to protect sex-based opportunities into laws and policies that undermine them, replacing long-standing, cherished legal rights and values with an identity-based, inchoate social concept. Accordingly, my administration will defend women's right to protect freedom of conscience by using clear and accurate language policies that recognize women are biologically female and men are biologically male. It's wild, ain't it? That this even has to happen is fucking crazy. We have gotten... This lets you know how fucking insane people have gotten. The fact we have to have an executive order to say that there are two sexes. 2025. We have an executive order telling people there are two sexes. That's where we're at. That's where the fuck we're at. Wow. The world has lost their motherfucking mind. This wokeism bullshit is a mental illness, is what it is. It's a mental fucking illness. You know? This is the 19, and speaking of 1984, right? This is your newspeak. This is your newspeak. Changing the language and the meanings of words, changing the meaning of things, right? This is to allow nothing to have meaning. Nothing to have meaning. Nothing to be solid. Reality to be mutable. That way they can constantly change it to adapt to their agenda, right? Feeding you constant delusion and illusion. And it's the absence of truth. It's the absence of science. It's the absence of fact. Sex shall refer to an individual's immutable biological classification as either male or female. Sex is not a synonym for and does not include the concept of gender identity. Women or woman, girls or girl shall mean adult and juvenile human females, respectively. Men or man and boys or boys shall mean adult and juvenile human males, respectively. Female means a person belonging to, at conception, the sex that produces the large reproductive cell. Male means a person belonging to, at conception, to the sex that produces a small reproductive cell. Gender ideology replaces the biological category of sex with an ever-shifting concept of self-assessed gender identity, permitting that false claim that males can identify and thus become woman and vice versa, and requiring all institutions of society to regard this false claim as fucking true. Gender identity and gender ideology includes the idea that there is a vast spectrum of genders that are disconnected from one sex. Gender ideology is internally inconsistent in that it diminishes sex as an identifiable or useful category, but nevertheless maintains that it is possible for a person to be born in the wrong sexed body. Gender identity reflects a fully internal and subjective sense of self, disconnected from biological reality and sex, and existing on an infinite continuum that does not provide a meaningful basis for identification and cannot be recognized as a replacement for sex. It is fucking mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. They're telling you that reality isn't real. No. I'll tell you what reality is. Never mind science. And isn't these the same fucking people that pushed the vaccine shit down your neck and said, trust the fucking science? They don't believe in science. It's like the Bible thumpers, right? Bible thumpers thump the fucking Bible when it's convenient for their motherfucking argument. They ignore 90% of the Bible because it doesn't go along with what they want to do in their life, right? Same thing with the science, right? It's scientific fact and provable when it's something that goes along with their fucking agenda. When it doesn't go along with what they're trying to push, then they throw it right out the motherfucking window. This is our society. You know, we have fucking fallen so far. So he established that Monday, transgender Americans are central target of Trump's often hyperbolic outright campaign trail messaging. He also rescinded the Biden administration provision that allowed transgender people to serve in the military. How about that? Which is fucking, I believe that, you know, I'm sorry. You know, transgender people, you know, they're taking fucking hormones. They have the highest suicide rate. They shouldn't have, you know, they shouldn't have access to guns and all that shit like that. I'm sorry. You know, if you won't let felons have it, you know, because they're, you know, felons and they've committed crimes, you shouldn't allow people that are taking hormones and medications that are known to create very, very negative effects on one's mental state, right? To be able to, you know, have weapons too. And like, where are they going to be? If they're a man, they should be, transgender man should be with the men, not with the women. You know, and we're seeing this in sports. Transgender fucking men beating the dog shit out of female boxers. It's just disgusting what's happening. Trump did not immediately ban trans military personnel from serving as he did under his first administration, but he paved the path to revive the ban. Trump, as part of his crusade against what the GOP decries as woke culture, ordered the dismantling of government diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives within 60 days. And see, this is how they're going to paint the shit, right? To make it seem fucking, you know, like it's bigotry and racism and sexism and transphobic and all of these things. This is how they always do it, right? You know, and by creating these little special fucking interest groups, by the way, right? You know, if you cut your fucking balls off today and you get on social media, you'll get 100,000 followers like that, right? Like that. And it's what it does is it glorifies it. You know, children want that attention. People want that attention. So they say, oh, I'm gay or I'm trans, right? Because it provides you, you know, the special protection. Everybody has to go along with your fucking illusion, you know? You've got this crazy deluded fucking mind about you being another sex, which is not possible. And everybody else has to play along with you. If not, they're a piece of shit, right? It's just crazy, man. And what it does to undermine the fabric of reality, what it does to undermine society and our moral structure and everything. Like, it's just, you know, it's very obvious. And see, the 10-point plan of the New World Order written by Alice Bailey talks exactly about this, you know? Exactly about this. The promoting of sexual promiscuity, homosexuality, right? Everything, you know, and think about it, you know, the whole trans thing, this is like part of this Aquarian shit as well, you know? This transhumanism, transgender, right? Like, it's muddying the waters, right? Of the things that, you know, we know as to be fact or truth, right? That way there is no fact or there is no truth. Everything is subjective, you know, in our reality. That way they can create what truth is, right? Truth is no longer going to be based on, you know, science. Truth is no longer going to be based on what's self-evident. You know, truth will now be based on what they tell us the truth is. And we've seen that these agendas be pushed down our throat. And quite frankly, people are just tired of the whole woke agenda. You know, they had their time and they've done a lot of damage to society and to the world over the last, you know, 4 to 8 years. But it's like their time is over. People are sick of it. They don't want it. They don't want it on their children. They don't want it in their fucking lives. They're sick of it, you know? Matter of fact, on my Facebook, which go follow me, Facebook.com, Best Damn Podcast. I literally, anytime I post a meme about, you know, transgenders, it literally gets, you know, the last one I posted got fucking 10,000 likes because it's like people are that fed up. I mean, people respond to it. They're just sick of it, man. Trump, as part of his crusade, it eliminates policies that establish several diversity initiatives. The Axios Emily Peck reports, including one that widens sex discrimination protections to include sexual orientation and gender identity. See, they're trying to protect fucking these people as if they are, you know, they're trying to protect these men as if they're women. It's just fucking bullshit. And in a Tuesday order, Trump specifically directed Federal Aviation Administration to immediately return to non-discriminatory merit-based hiring as required by law and rescind the DEI initiatives. And this is another thing. You shouldn't be fucking hired for a job because you cut your cock off or because your skin color or, you know what I'm saying? It's just, or because your sex. It's just ridiculous. Everything in our society should be based on merit. You know, I want to hear some opinions. I would love to hear the chat, what you guys think about this, the comment section, what you think about this. RIP headphone users. Well, all they can say is if you're wearing headphones, take them down, turn them down. I don't give a fuck. Don't watch, don't listen. Not my problem. Says I think your ears are bleeding. Well, sorry, but not sorry, right? I'm passionate about these things because it's like I'm watching this happen. I'm watching my children grow up in this world, this upside down fucking world, this upside down reality, right? That is meant to fucking indoctrinate us into bullshit fucking ideologies and beliefs that are meant to pervert the way that we see reality, that are meant to undermine the nature of reality and truth in itself. It makes us more malleable, more mutable. That way they can fucking control us, you know? In chat, I would love to hear what you think about this transgender one. In a separate order, Trump ordered all executive departments, agencies to terminate the discriminatory, illegal preferences, policies, programs, guidance, and other provisions to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. And in doing so, he revoked decades of executive orders, including the Equal Employment Opportunity Order of 1965, signed by former President Lyndon B. Johnson. It also calls for each agency to identify up to 9 potential civil compliance investigations, publicly traded corporations, large nonprofit corporations, or associations founded with assets of $500 million or more, state and local bar and medical associations, and institutions of higher education with endowments over $1 billion. Trump signed several other provisions that will impact government workers. He required full-time return to in-office work for federal employees and ordered a hiring freeze on government positions. No more of this remote shit. The hiring freeze does not apply to the military or immigration enforcement, national security, or public safety. He also reinstated his first term Schedule F executive order, which would make it easier to fire civil servants deemed disloyal. The order could strip employment protections from thousands of federal employees. Employers are not required to personally or politically support the current president, but they must faithfully implement administration policies to the best of their ability. And what is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? You know, so they're still protected. I love how they try to, you know, the language of this fucking article, the way they're trying to word it. Like all of a sudden federal employees aren't protected. It's like bullshit. They have to follow the president's orders because he's the fucking president. All of this bullshit we seen during his first term, well, it's not my president and all this shit, and people refusing to do their fucking jobs or do what they were, you know, ordered to do was bullshit. And it was disloyal, you know? It's traitorous, dude. And you have no ability working in the federal government if you can't follow the fucking government's rules and orders just because you don't like, you know, the particular political party that's in office. It's absolutely insane. point. We've seen all the politically motivated bullshit. He's putting an end to all of it. January 6 pardons. Trump pardoned the vast majority of January 6 defendants charged with participating in the Capitol riot and commuted the sentences of 14 others. Among those were the leaders of extremist groups, the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. These are the hostages, approximately 1,500 for a pardon, full pardon, Trump said from the Oval Office in his first night as president. Pardoning rioters was a prominent campaign pledge, but Trump had previously said recipients would be determined on a case-by-case basis. He also announced Tuesday he had signed a full and unconditional pardon for Ross Ulbricht, the creator of the unlawful Silk Road marketplace, who was sentenced to life in prison in 2015. And think about this, guys. January 6 Capitol riots was a false flag, is what it was. It was a fucking false flag. Like I said, if you want to see it for yourself, go join the Best Damn Podcast Patreon. I have hundreds and thousands of hours, hundreds of hours of videos, content, private content, uncensored content that cannot be put in public platforms. All of the videos I've ever had strikes and had removed or taken down are also there. And I did a video on the January 6th Capitol riots and showed you, the exploding blood packets, the fucking movie glass and plexiglass and, the fake fucking pepper spray and how they weren't wearing real badges. The police officers weren't. And, how they were literally walking around with bullhorns, ordering them around like they were on a fucking movie set. It was just bullshit. Nobody died that day. It was a false flag event. The executive order on the WHO and COVID and drug costs. Trump signed an order pulling the U.S. from the World Health Organization, a process he started during his first term. How about that? That is beautiful right there. Pulling the U.S. from the WHO, right? We would have never went through all that COVID bullshit if we wouldn't have, been a part of that. Monday's order said the U.S. will withdraw due to the organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic and other global health crises. Its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms and inability to demonstrate independence from the inappropriate and political influence of WHO member states. That is crazy. He also rescinded the 2022 Biden order to lower the cost of prescription drugs. The TikTok extension and Doge and more executive orders. Trump signed a number of executive orders and actions, include ensuring government agencies do not unconstitutionally abridge the free speech of any American citizen, highlighting what Trump and his allies considered censorship under Biden. They said considered censorship. I fucking love how they're wording this article, saying, and I'll show you. Restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship, which this is my favorite out of all of them, obviously, because I'm a content creator. Like I said, I literally have my livelihood destroyed, from the pandemic. YouTube channels, I just had and I wondered why things were happening the way that they were. I just had a YouTube channel reinstated. I have a third channel. If you guys don't know, I have Best Damn Podcast Official. It's youtube.com Best Damn Podcast Official. I have Best Damn Podcast 2. It's got about 3,000 followers on that one. And that's youtube.com Best Damn Podcast. And then I have John Keane, my name. And that's youtube.com John Keane 33. And that's got about 715 subscribers. So help me hit 1,000 on that. Go ahead and subscribe to John Keane. I'm posting to that as well. I lost, my Discord server had over 1,000 people for medical misinformation. My Facebook pages, I have, 6,500 followers on one Facebook and 12,000 followers on another. I've been demonetized on all the platforms, like Instagram. And just all of it. I've had my Patreon was deleted years ago, back in the midst of all of this. You know, I mean, I have a new Patreon, which is safe now, but obviously things have changed. But during the, you know, when all of this was taking place, they were just hammering everybody, you know, and they ruined my livelihood, you know. So by the authority vested in me, the Section 1 purpose of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution is an amendment essential to the success of our republic. It enshrines the right of the American people to speak freely in the public square without government interference. Over the last 4 years, the previous administration trampled free speech rights by censoring American speech on online platforms, often by exerting substantial coercive pressure on third parties, such as social media companies, to moderate, deplatform, and otherwise suppress speech that the federal government did not approve, under the guise of combating misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation. The federal government infringed on the constitutionality protected speech rights of American citizens across the United States in a manner that advanced the government's preferred narrative about significant matters of public debate. Government censorship of speech is intolerable in a free society. Think about it. It was advanced the government's preferred narrative, right? And that's what we've seen happen.
First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
I see Matthew Short in the house. Nice to see you guys. I've seen a lot of people tonight, but you know, TikTok extension, revoking security clearances of Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, former intelligence officials who signed a letter discrediting the Hunter Biden laptop story, ordering review of trade practices and agreements, the censorship, suspending TikTok ban for 75 days, which is crazy, you know, like for stealing information. How many fucking platforms? Facebook has been caught stealing information. YouTube has been caught stealing information. Alexa, I mean, it's technology. They've all been stealing our data and information and spying on us. But, you know, they're going after TikTok. You know, renaming Denali to Mount McKinley, which is amazing because it was, you know, it's crazy they would change it to Mount McKinley anyways. It's fucking insane they changed it. And then, so it's back to Mount McKinley. And the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America, right? The Gulf of America. And federal buildings should respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage, right? So it's like they're really bringing all this shit back, man. They're bringing back all of the things of America before, you know, this whole wokeism bullshit, you know, had taken place over the last fucking 8 years, you know, tearing down all of our statues, you know, telling us what genders are, censorship, just all of it. It's all kind of being restored. And I'll give you a little bit more of the speech here.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices.
So let me ask you, kind of in conclusion here, what are we seeing, guys? And in the chat, you can respond. The comment section, you can respond. What are we seeing? Are we seeing a true and genuine attack against, the woke culture, the left-wing liberal media, against the deep state, and the restoration of America, the Constitution and its values? Are we seeing something genuine here? Or are we seeing another psychological warfare operation, where Trump gets to play the hero and the savior in chapter 2, right? In his second term. Gosh, man, I hate to tell. Look, doesn't Biden look he don't even look human, guys. I'm sorry. Biden doesn't look human. I'm sorry. I'm so distracted by his face right now. I am. I'm so distracted by his face right now. And is that what we're seeing? Or, are we witnessing this, this control position here? It's controlled opposition. Restore the chat. Are we witnessing controlled opposition at its finest and seeing Trump being setting us up, for this major fall for all those that supported him, just like what happened in round 1, January 6th, where everybody was like hung out to dry, where they were all attacked. I know we've seen, and I've been watching on X all day, where people that have gotten these pardons they're free now, right? And they're like back on Twitter and everything. They're free. They've literally been released because of his pardons. It's amazing to see, actually. I'd love to see how this kind of plays out. And I know during his first 4 years, to me, my opinion was that he was absolutely a Zionist shill, controlled opposition. I love that, Shay. Fuck yeah, Shay. That's exactly right. Harper, nice to see you. Matthew Short, nice to see you. I love that, Shay. She says, like he said, and like he loves to say, we knew he was a snake when we let him in. And isn't that the motherfucking truth, right? You guys remember that speech? Let's see if we got that speech here. Let's see if we can pull that up. I love that speech. There we go. Let's see if we can. Hey. He's letting you know right here. Look. Go back here, huh? Hold on. Let me give you this. Hold on, guys. I gotta give you a screen share. All right, here we go. There we go.
Who has heard the poem called The Snake? So I have it. Does anybody want to hear it again? You sure? Are you sure? Okay. So let's dedicate this to General Kelly, the Border Patrol, and the ICE agents for doing such an incredible job. All right? This was written by Al Wilson a long time ago. And I thought of it having to do with our borders and people coming in. And we know what we're going to have. We're going to have problems. We have to very, very carefully vet. We have to be smart. We have to be vigilant. So here it is, The Snake. It's called The Snake. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. The border. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed that vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I have saved you, cried the woman. And you've bitten me, heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now
Right,
I'm
Matthew.
going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
You knew damn well I was a snake
You see
before you
sounds in
took
here.
me in. Woo. Right? And Matthew Short, go ahead and get back camera here. Matthew Short says he also plays on the act of being uncorruptible, straight arrow too much. Nobody walking the earth is that, right? I don't know, but I agree with you. Like, he does kind of like play the angle of like, I've been there, done that. I've been a part of the elite. I'm already rich. I can't be bought. I can't be corrupted in that way. Compromise, basically. I do agree he kind of pushes that angle. But as far as like being uncorruptible, I wouldn't say that. He does, I feel like that's what people love about him is he has a very human element, talking about grabbing, women by the pussy and like, the locker room talk and shit like that. It's like, it makes him real. It makes him real. The fact he's saying the things that most people are fucking thinking, but don't have the balls to say. You know, the way that he attacks people in the debates and just shit like that. Not to mention the Proud Boys and other FBI Trump supporters, impersonators, in training, the concrete insurrection. Yeah. That's what I mean. The entire January 6th stuff was a complete sham, in my opinion. That was a false flag event. That was not real. Like I said, go check out my Patreon. I have the Mysteries of the God series. I think there's about 5 of those videos. Necronomicon series, Gateway Process series, all of my uncensored videos. Right, and in one of those videos, we just go deep on the January 6th Capitol riots, and it shows just how fake the whole fucking thing was. I mean, it was absolutely. It was a production. You know, everything you see in politics today is just a production. You know, Trump looks slightly different too. You know, I did notice though. You guys have ever heard of red tie, blue tie Trump? Right, where whenever he wears the blue tie, it's like he's more diplomatic and shit like that, right? And then when he does the red tie, it's like his power tie. It's like usually when he's like doing military or war actions or, you know, like some sort of power move. And this time though, during his inauguration, one thing I noticed, and it kind of like really did stick out to me, was the fact that he wore a purple tie, right? The purple tie really caught me off guard. Yes, red and blue together makes purple, right? So is this kind of like symbolic of the two parties kind of like being absorbed and coming together? You know? And it, like, you know, the new world order, right? This one world system, is that, you know, or purple is representative of royalty, is what it is. And even Elon Musk had made a statement. He said the king is back, right? And he was wearing that purple tie representing royalty, and it just really stuck with me. It's like, you know, the way that he has kind of come out on top after the last 8 years going into this reign, you know, the people that he's aligned himself with, you know, the House, the Senate. I mean, he's got it all now. The Republicans have it all. It's like he's unstoppable now, unstoppable, and he knows it. That's why day one just is fucking launching this onslaught of executive orders. It's like, is he really? And it's like, are we seeing this being used to politically motivated to take down all of his political opponents, to build support, you know, to bring some totalitarian, you know, regime in, like I said, controlled opposition, this savior psyop, or is this really like this attack on the deep state and the left-wing liberal media? You know, I guess only time will tell. I guess we will see. But I am going to wrap this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I'm a little rusty on this. I did, man, it sucks. My first round, I could, you know, like I said, I had technical difficulties, so it took me a second to get everything working. I got like some new equipment and shit like that. But I want to thank everybody for joining me. I want to ask you, if you're in the chat or you catch us on the flip side, hit the thumbs up, comment, guys. All of this stuff really helps with the algorithms, so that way, you know, people can find me, you know. So, and the more people that find me, the more the word gets out there. I want to ask you guys, follow me, social media, Instagram and Facebook at Best Damn Podcast, and then Twitter or X, The Real Best Damn. Also, if you would like to donate support to the channel, I've been completely demonetized because of the censorship over the last 4 years. You know, donations are just, they allow me to be able to do shit like get new equipment and be able to continue to create content. It just helps me big time, and I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who does donate, how big or small. I appreciate it. Everybody who shares and likes and comments and all of it. I appreciate all of your support from the bottom of my heart. If you'd like to donate support, it's paypal.me/thebestdampodcast. Cash App, Best Damn Podcast, or you can go to Facebook Pay, and it's facebook.com John King Best Damn Podcast, or you can get access to private content, uncensored content, exclusive only content, only on Patreon where you find it. Thousands of watch hours on Patreon. And it's patreon.com Best Damn Podcast Official. You can get tarot reading discounts, just everything through the Patreon. I have discounts going on right now. If you guys want to sign up for Patreon, I have discount codes. Just text me, and I'll send you the codes to kind of help you. And what else do we got going on? I don't know if I have any more announcements here. Yeah. Make sure to follow all the YouTube channels, youtube.com Best Damn Podcast Official, youtube.com Best Damn Podcast, and youtube.com John Keen 33. I think that's about it. Yeah, follow me, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good shit. TikTok at the Best Damn Podcast. I post pretty regularly on all of the platforms. You know, we're reaching millions over on Facebook too, so doing really well over there. But we have been demonetized, so the donations and support helps. If you join us on Patreon too, if you do the $25 and up tiers, not only do they come with discounts, but they also come with free merch, right? Coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies. So it really does pay for itself, literally. So I don't charge the people for the merch. I pay for that myself. So I want to thank you guys for joining. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I love you, and I will see you next time. Please comment. Let me know what you think about these executive orders. Let me know what you think about this agenda, or if there is an agenda. I'll see you guys. I love you. Peace.